I saw how you shifted your career and I was like, I need to know more about this.
Well, funny story. 2017, I got laid off from my energy job and was trying to figure out what I wanted to do, wasn't sure, and took a little bit of a break, got bored, and decided that I was going to start my own company, my own consulting business. And I originally started out thinking that I would go back into some of the project management, change management stuff that I had been doing in my corporate life, and decided maybe that wasn't quite what I wanted to do anymore. So I melded some of my loves. I'm a bit of a polymath. So I melded my love of old dead things as a former archaeologist and anthropologist, and my love of change management, and decided that I would become a death educator and consult on how to navigate the change, one of life's biggest life changes, which is death.
So was this a thing that existed beforehand? Like, is there like a educator industry, or is just this something you were like, I'm a death educator and now that's a thing?
Well, and that was a hard thing is like, no, I kind of invented my own role. I was like, when I started investigating what I could do in the death industry, I was like, well, I don't want to be a funeral director because they're on call 24/7. People don't generally die on a schedule. I, I didn't really know if there was any other roles in the industry that would suit me. And I was seeking a label that was already existing. And when I kind of landed on what I wanted to do after talking to funeral directors and funeral homes and death doulas and people like that, I was like, no, I want something slightly different. And I was in a small business class, and one of the women there was an executor advisor. She was a certified executor advisor. And as she was introducing what she was doing, navigating the paperwork and the legal and taxation end of things, I'm like, that's what I want to do. I want to meld my project management and change management skills with my fascination with mortality and thanatology and end of life stuff. And it just became, what do I call myself? Death project manager kind of was a bit of a long title. So I also have a lot of background in training and education and instructional design. And I was like, hey, I want to design my own workshops and just teach people what they need to know to get them to the finish line.
And so you just made up this, you created this term, this
Yes.
title, and you
Yeah,
planted your flag.
I did. And funny enough, I did meet another death educator who works mostly with individuals. I generally tend to work with groups and educate groups, but her name is also Gina.
Mm-hmm.
Funny enough, but she's one of the few death educators that I've met. There's been a few over the years because I've been doing this now for 5 or 6 years. So there's more that have come and put their spin on it and things like that. And we see a lot of funeral directors. I'm sure you've heard of Caitlin Doty, for example. She's a funeral director who's been big in the death education industry as far as demystifying the funeral industry. And of course, death doulas are becoming more and more popular, end of life doulas. But yeah, I just kind of wanted to forge my own path, do my own thing.
I love it. I love people who bet on themselves, and I love people who kind of like take risks and create their own thing. This area specifically is like, of all of the people I've interviewed and all of the conversations I've had and all the people I've met professionally, I'm like, I have never heard of someone doing something like this. And A, it's just like, I love talking to you, but B, it's like, I want to talk about this thing. So let's just say, let's start with like unpack it for everyone as a starting point. Why does someone need a death educator? So if there wasn't a death educator, what would be going on that would be the problem that that your services would be the solution for?
So the problem that I solve is, or the problem that exists if someone like me doesn't, is that people come to the end of life unprepared. And I hear a lot of times people say, well, I'm not really going to care because I'm going to be dead. But it's the people that we leave behind that have to clean up that mess. So the problem that I solve for people is helping them prepare for that massive life event that is death, that is inevitable, that everybody is going to face. So I think it's important that we acknowledge our mortality, and that we view it as something that is inevitable, and preparing for it is going to help us get on living life. I mean, the cool thing about being a death educator is it allows, when people plan for their inevitable demise, it allows them to live better. It allows them to focus on living as opposed to that underlying stress we have about end of life and planning for end of life and what comes next once we're gone and the people that we've left behind have to close out our life.